Bienvenidos a Taboo Talk Latina Edition. Yo soy Cynthia.
And I'm Jeanette.
And we're here to create a safe space where Latinas can be real, raw, and share their authentic stories. Este es un lugar donde celebramos nuestras raíces, but also confrontamos esos tabús que nos afectan.
En este show vamos a romper el silencio sobre las expectativas culturales y tradicionales que nos han marcado. Y lo hacemos con conversaciones honestas y profundas. Nuestra misión es inspirar, empoderar y conectar a todas las mujeres latinas y lo que hacen nuestras experiencias únicas.
So whether you're tuning in to hear a powerful story or join the conversation, this is your space to embrace who you really are. Ahora, déjame presentarle a nuestra increíble invitada de hoy. Solimar Williams is the father of Unbothered, a lifestyle brand rooted in her Afro-Latina identity and belief in living unapologetically. Born in the Dominican Republic and later moving to New York to pursue her dreams, Solimar uses her brand to inspire others to embrace their individuality and focus on their personal happiness. She's a true example of blending creativity with purpose.
And now let's welcome our second guest, Lisbeth Perdomo. Lisbeth is a Dominican-born entrepreneur and community leader with a background in music education and business marketing. She's been a force in her community by mentoring youth through music as a form of therapy and expression. Lizbeth founded her own music studio and later transitioned to creating Que Mami, a platform empowering Latina businesses owners to grow and thrive while balancing entrepreneurship and motherhood. She's passionate about helping women turn their dreams into sustainable businesses. Chicas, we are so excited to have you both on here. Bienvenidas.
Thank you. You guys are so sweet.
Thank you for having us. Good morning, all.
Yeah, beautiful bios. We love it.
Thank you.
Guys, you guys are doing an amazing job. Y ahora que ya conocemos un poquito más de nuestra invitada, let's jump right into los temas de hoy. First, we'll talk about Latinas and entrepreneurship, the stories, the challenges, and the aspirations of building your own path.
Luego vamos a hablar de Imposter Syndrome, un tema que muchas mujeres enfrentan, especialmente en nuestras comunidades.
Yes, Latinas and entrepreneurship, building your own path. Starting a business as a Latina comes with its own set of challenges. Let's explore how cultural expectation and societal norms shape us in our entrepreneur journeys.
Así que Lizbeth and Solimar, what inspired you both to start your businesses? ¿Y cuáles fueron algunos de los mayores desafíos que enfrentaron al principio?
Solimar, go ahead. You can take it first.
Well, what inspired me to start my business was to make a difference in fashion, right? I always talk about it. Fashion can be super toxic, and I felt that I needed to break out of what's taboo in our culture as Hispanics, as Dominicans. Los niños se ponen esto, las niñas se ponen eso. It's like, no, it's just clothing, right? So that's what inspired me to start the business. And some of the pushback I got was exactly that. Why are you doing a unisex brand? Why are you focusing on streetwear? You know, you're a classy girl. And again, another expectation that streetwear isn't classic or you can't make it classy. And even the name I got pushed back on. I still remember somebody telling me, it's like, why are you doing the name like that? You're not a known brand. I was like, yeah. And I was like, there are other brands that have done it. Bad Bunny did it. And yo hago lo que me da la gana. He didn't have any vowels in the name of the album, right? We all figured it out. Debí tirar más fotos.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you for standing.
And was it something that you had since you were a little girl, like you wanted to have your own clothing line, or did that happen throughout growing up?
Yeah, no, it was since I was a little girl. My abuelo would like bring me a newspaper. I will make some mood boards. I didn't know there were mood boards, but my grandma would get stressed on me. But it was always like, it was always in me. Like I always loved fashion. I've always been very expressive, and fashion is a good way to express yourself. If you're feeling sad or maybe not yourself, you wear a certain outfit, right? You wear an outfit that makes you feel comfy. If you're feeling good and like you're a badass, you're like, I'm going to wear these pants today because these are my power pants, you know? So like you always have that piece of clothing you gravitate towards when you feel a certain type of way. And I always loved that because that's how I felt. I have my comfort pieces when I'm like down. I'm like, I'm wearing this hoodie today. This is the day I'm emo, you know? So I wanted to bring that to people, and I wanted to be a part of that and also make a change while being a part of that. So yeah, it's always been a dream of mine.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow, so inspiring.
To answer the question, ladies, going off of what Solimar mentioned, I feel like in our culture, we forget that women are very multifaceted. Everyone can do so many things. And, when you are raised to, let's say you're good at something and you stay doing that for a long time, or people know you for something, they want to keep you in that box. And I hated being in boxes. I hated saying like, well, you can't do this. I was always like, okay, watch me.
Let me show you.
Or you can't play basketball. Okay, watch me. Or you can't wear baggy pants all the time. That's what I'm going to do. So I think I feel like always constantly have to fight for something has always been my essence, unfortunately, or having to prove something. So when it came down to pivoting from my career, and once it clicked and I'm like, wait, if I'm unhappy and I no longer want to do this, I cannot do it anymore and just do something different. And I don't know why it took me so hard. And it was just because of the societal norms, the expectation, what I should be doing because that's how I started. And people were comfortable with me in that box. People knew me in that box. People understood me in that box. And I'm like, well, I'm not happy anymore. As a woman, we change like the seasons. Like tomorrow you want that red hair, you might want to wake up and have purple hair. And that's your prerogative. You know what I mean? And so for me, I'm just like, why? I wish I knew it 5 years prior to opening Que Mami. Like, no, you could just pivot. It's cool. No, it took me so long to just get over the hump of I'm scared to change because what if people don't accept me? When in reality is I have to accept me. So once I figured out, and I always known I've had talents, but once I figured out to crack in the code was just like, do what literally makes you happy and forget what community or family or people or friends have this expectation of. The floodgates open for me for personal success and career success.
I love that. And the thing, like you said, I think it goes back to our roots. Como Latina, like growing up, we had that fear. And like entrepreneurship, it's not a word that I grew up hearing. It was more of like, you have to go to school, get a good degree, work your 9 to 5, retire, and then be happy with that. And I feel like it's hard for us to break that if we don't strongly have a vision to follow, right? Like you ladies. Because then we go back to our roots of like, oh, what is our family going to say on the gatherings? Oh, ¿y qué tú estás loca? ¿Y qué tú estás haciendo ahora? Like, no, you got to find like a real career. For them is a 9 to 5. When us, it's like we're trying to hustle with our business. So I think it's so inspiring what you girls are doing because it's breaking that norm of what we should be doing and what we want to do. And I think it's hard being Latina and having to stand up for what we believe.
Yeah, so kudos to you ladies for, sticking it through and kind of shutting down those voices, right? Because as Latinas, like you said, we hear it all the time, our family members, that 9 to 5. And if it's not that 9 to 5, it's always like, well, is that going to give you enough money? Like, how are you going to, sustain your life with this, this clothing brand or this, business that you start? So yeah, that's amazing that you guys are sticking it through.
So important.
Yeah. And we know many women want to start a business, but, of course, always feel scared or unsure. So what advice would you ladies give to those thinking about starting their own business?
So I always give the same advice because to me, it was the most important to hear is to just start it. Just do that first thing. Save that. I have many, many business ideas and some of them are scary. And in my mind, I'm going to have many businesses. So let's just say I haven't bothered. And now I'm thinking about my next business venture. I already saved the Instagram handle. I already separated the LLC name, right? Even if I'm not going to start it today or tomorrow, that's the first step to starting the business, right? And so once you do that, everything kind of becomes less mountainous and you're like, okay, well, I thought it was going to be really hard. Actually, it wasn't. Okay, let me check off the next thing. So always start with something. Do the first step, whatever that first step is to you. To everybody's a little bit different. Maybe it's opening a savings account that's just dedicated to your business and the product, and for you to buy product, or maybe you want to start a podcast, buy the microphone. Like come up with a name. Yeah, it's the little things, and that will push you. That will like light that fire under you to continue, because you'll realize that we make it a lot bigger in our heads than what it actually is most of the times.
Like, we're always nervous. I remember when I launched my first podcast, it was nervous. Like, I was like, I don't know where to start. Like, should I hire someone? And once I went for it, I did it all myself. And I was like, this wasn't so bad. And I waited so long to pursue it, right? And I think it also goes back to social media, right? Like, we feel that we have to constantly be catching up to what's trending. And maybe, you know, they are doing how good they are because of what they have and the money and the wealth. And we compare ourselves a lot. And I feel that's also like within us of having to break that and just go for it, like you said, because it's so hard to keep waiting for the perfect moment when you realize there's no such thing.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
For everything, to get married, to have kids, to buy a house. I know there's seasons and obviously there's preparations that you have to do, but perfect time, like, you're never going to have it all figured out.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, like, just buy or just do that first step, because to me, the first purchase I made was the mic. And then once I bought the mic, because when I started my podcast, I was like, okay, well, I have the mic. So I kind of already invested my money on the mic. So I kind of have to do then the next step. So doing that first step, it's almost like it's pushing you to, okay, now for the next one. Because that's what happened to me. I was like, well, I already bought the mic. Might as well, you know, continue with the next step. Yeah. So that's a good strategy.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so needed.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with what Sol said. Just taking the little step increments on your pace, on your time to get the little things in order. And of course, we all know that when you don't have the funding money right off the bat, you're doing certain things out of pocket. But figuring out a way how to not do it out of pocket and not use your own money to start building your business credit that some people may not know about. And like she said, a savings is dope as well. Because I remember I was drowning in the beginning, and I would be stressed every situation, every shoot, anytime I had to pay the girl developing my website later on. And it was just freak me out. So had I, you know, put the little increments just to start, things would have been different. But I think the most important thing is just your mindset. You have to turn into some different savage to really block out the noise and not allow friends, family, or even a social platform, like you mentioned, Cynthia, to compete with others, because everybody's journey is different and unique. So I remember always having a conversation of, you know, I didn't see many Latinas doing PR. I saw some women dabbling in the marketing stuff, but just not as deep as I was. And I'm just like, why are they not like fully invested? They're like doing one thing but committed to something else. But I would just say, like, if you want to do that thing, even though you might feel it's saturated, keep going. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like Solimar didn't stop making hoodies or crew necks because Kanye was doing this or Adidas was doing that. She would have never started anything. But there's so many hoodie sweaters in the world. Like, who cares? Just do it. So I just think that the mindset and definitely financially preparing in small ways, because people hear that and they get intimidated. But the key is to just gradually, little by little, put those pieces together to just start.
That's true. And one thing that I love about both of you is how you show up to your social media being exactly who you are right now with us. And I think that's powerful. I think that's something that, again, with social media, we lack. We feel that we have to have like this perfect image. Like, it's okay to show, hey guys, I'm thinking about starting a business, you know, or hey guys, this is my Instagram, go follow, you know, maybe you get 5 followers and that's okay. Like what you're doing, Solimar, just, you have a new vision now. You just created a page. I'm sure when you start promoting it, you'll be like, that's great if I get 5 followers, 10 followers. You'll be surprised by the amount of support you probably even end up getting. But it's just those little things that I feel we want to have everything put together before we show it up to the world. And like that, what you guys have built, it's beautiful, and that you're able to just show up just exactly how you are and show that vulnerability that we need right now in this world.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I never want to unbother to feel unapproachable.
Yeah.
And I love brands that make their message, it's not that deep, it's not that serious, right? Like Three Sales Curls does a great job at that. Like, you feel kind of like, you feel like they're your friends, you know, when you're looking at their socials, when you're looking at their videos. And I think when brands can do that, any brand, whether it's a personal brand, PR brand, a clothing brand, a jewelry brand, it just makes all the difference in the world because people feel welcome, people feel warm, people feel seen. When I went to Lizbeth's page, that's the first thing I said. I was like, I feel at home. I feel seen. I feel like I found somebody that's going to understand me. And so that approachability, even though you might not be doing the most trendy things or like the clickbaity things, but it's just you're creating a solid community, right? And the follower count is going to increase whenever it's going to increase, right? That's up to the chance of life sometimes. But I just feel like, so if you have a community of 2,000 people, 1,000 people, like if somebody put you in a room with 1,000 people, you'd be like, whoa, like if somebody told you tomorrow you had to speak to even 100 people, 200 people, you'd be like, oh my God, hold on, I gotta sit there and speak. Right. And then like in social media, it gets diminished. It's like, oh, only 1,000 people, but no, that's an accomplishment. It's like you said, it's like the 5 people, the 10 people. That is so huge. And so long as you're creating that community you want, that's all that matters.
Yeah. No, you'll be surprised how you can have 1 million followers, but do you really have 1 million followers that will support you?
Exactly.
No, and that's the difference. Like people are like based on the number of like, oh, do you have to have a certain amount? Like, oh no, I'm not going to make it. I only have, like you said, 1,000 followers. That's 1,000 followers that probably the 1 million followers don't have that really support them. Right. So it's crazy because you do have to change your mindset, like Lizbeth said, and you've been saying, and I think that's something I go by too. It's so powerful when you change your perspective.
Yeah. And I saw that the other day, now that you guys are talking about it, it was like something on Instagram where the girl was standing on a stage and 100 people walked in and it was like, you have 100 followers. And she was like, oh, wow, like this is a lot of people. Yeah. And then 1,000 people were added. And then they were like, you have 1,000 followers. And she was mind blown. She was like, wow, this is a lot of people. And then it was like, imagine now you speaking to these 1,000 people. So it's like you guys said, like that perspective, we diminish it. Like, oh, I just have 100 followers. Well, go up on a stage and have 100 people so you can envision it, so you can see the impact. So that it reminded me of that like trend I saw on Instagram.
It's the perspective. And I believe that would help you make that step further, but also will help you in so many aspects of lives that we lack, right? Because we think we have to be somewhere or our brand are not going to get recognized, or hoodies. Yeah, there's so many brands out there, but I have not purchased from half of those, right? And it's because they're probably not relatable to me. Like you said, the power of storytelling is so powerful.
Absolutely.
You can relate with a brand that understands you and you're so loud about that, that makes a difference because that will make me want to buy from you. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to do the giveaway with you because it's beautiful what you do. And I feel more people need to be involved and need to know about it. So yeah, beautiful.
Yes, yes. And now moving on to my favorite topic, overcoming imposter syndrome. So we all know that this feeling impacts so many of us, especially as women. So let's dive into our second topic. So let's talk about how to move past this imposter syndrome.
Solimar and Lizbeth, ¿pueden compartir un momento en que sintieron el imposter syndrome y cómo lo lograron enfrentarlo? Because we all went through it at some point of our lives, and if we didn't, what support did you have to navigate that?
Which is one time. I think I still kind of feel it a little bit today, I'm not going to lie. But when I go to events and I'm like pitching my brand, right? And sometimes it's like, oh, we're in this big event for this big brand and like my little brand. And like I'll sometimes like hold back. And I think I did that one event. I really held back and I was like, no, like it's going to sound like I'm trying to get something out of these people. And like, because you might be talking to somebody who has a bigger platform, or something. And then I came home and I was like, how does that feel? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like you did something today? Do you feel like you failed yourself today? Do you feel like you failed your little self today? Because I always go back to that little self, right? And I was like, she would be disappointed. She was very outgoing. She always talked to people about anything. So why are you holding yourself back now? And I never did it again. It just, as much as sometimes I'm like, it's cringe, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, no, girl, talk about it because that's the only way you're going to get it out there. And you see other people that have no shame in talking about it. They just go wherever they go. They talk about their brand. They talk about what they're doing. It doesn't have to be a sales pitch, right? You can just say it in conversation and you at least got it out there. I was at an event yesterday and I told every person that I was a business owner, that I owned a clothing brand. I told them the message, and it's just something you practice, I don't think the imposter syndrome ever goes away per se. I think you suppress it, and I think you find ways to cope with it and overcome it. But I think that the more you grow, right, there'll be bigger execs in the room. And you'll be like, oh, hold on. Why am I in this room? Right? Well, you're in the room because you deserve to be in that room, right? You deserve to take up space. And so that's something that my grandma always told me is take up space. It's yours, right? Well, yeah, that's kind of what I do. I just analyze myself, talk to myself, tell myself the hard things that maybe I wouldn't want to hear, and then try to make it better the next time, even if it's just by one thing, right? Like maybe talking to 10 people at the next event wasn't the thing, but like just talk about your brand to 2 people, right? And then the next event, 5 people, and then 10 people. And now I'm like, oh, I can talk about it without even thinking about it, right? So I would say just really paying attention to what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? Why are you promoting yourself? Why are you talking about your projects? Why are you boasting yourself up, right? We deserve as much attention as the male that's whatever, Forbes 500, whatever, right? So why don't we do it? So that's kind of how I try to overcome it. It's just checking myself essentially when it comes up.
Beautiful. And to piggyback right on those 2 things you just said, one of them was, and it reminded me, like every person that we look up to or any successful person right now goes through imposter syndrome. Now that they don't share about it is a different story, right? And I feel like you said, like, oh my gosh, I'm like next to this person. Maybe they're thriving. They have so many followers. Like they're pretty big in the industry. But I'm sure that voice it's within them, right? And that fear before stepping on stage, or it's been there before, they just don't talk about it. And yesterday we're at an event and it was about what you just shared. And that was beautiful. Your inner child.
Yeah, when you said that.
Oh my gosh, because it's really hard to take a step back and talk about that and really listen to yourself. Not like, oh my God, like what is this person gonna think? Or she was there, or like I didn't get anybody like why? What didn't I do that I can improve? And it takes a lot to do that and to get to that space. So that was beautiful because that was a reminder that we all need, that we have to check ourselves. Sometimes we feel like we just launched our business and we're not thriving. You're like, yeah, but are you showing up? Are you educating them? Are you being authentic? Like, when was the last time you promoted your link, right? All those things that we're like, right, you're right. You just been scrolling on social media, wishing you had other people's life and success when you can be having your own.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And the inner child, to kind of keep picking back up that, one thing for me to cope with my imposter syndrome is that I always remind myself, what did the younger Cynthia need at the time? Like, can you imagine if the younger Cynthia turned on a YouTube channel and started listening to these conversations? Did she need that at that time? And my answer is always yes. And that kind of motivates me to continue and keep having conversation like these and breaking these taboos, because I know the teenage me needed to hear these conversations. So that's one way for me that I cope with imposter syndrome, because it happens to me all the time, right? Like you said, I walk in a room and I'm like, oh my God, like, do I even belong here? And I'm like, wait, no, what did the younger me need? Did she need to be here and hear these conversations? And the answer is always yes. And that's what keeps me, there and keeps me, pushing.
It's the same thing with our channel. When we hit the 700 subscribers, she's like, who are these people? And I was like, just wait. Instead of that 1,000 views on our episodes, who are these people? I'm like, Cynthia, let's breathe. They are people that are enjoying and need our conversation. Okay, you're right. But who are they? I want to meet them all.
I know. That's how great work. Like, wait, like, I want to meet all these people, because I'm like, why are they listening to us? And she always brings me back. She's like, Cynthia, because we have a story to tell and the conversations that
why not?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but who are they? I'm like,
girl.
So far you can relate. You probably have clients too, right? With the imposter yourself that been through it.
Yes.
Every day, girl. Every day it's something. There's something like, yeah, I got this. We're gonna do this. And then I'm like, it's like even today, like I'm doing this, which I'm 100% looking forward to. But then I have a shoot to go to, and I'm just like, why did I sign myself up to this? Why don't I get this picture? I don't feel like this, but I have to send it, and it's for like a big deal. And then sometimes I'm always playing that game when it comes up to doing something great or big or like monumental for yourself or your brand. You're just like, wait, should I be here right now? And that's something that I've gotten better at, obviously, because like Sol said, like you're constantly explaining yourself, talking about your brand, who you are, what you do. And sometimes, because once you're in those spaces and you're networking or connecting, you already program, you know what to say, you know how to act, you know what to do because you know your brand like the back of your hand, right? So some in your head may come off like she's too confident or she's too full of herself or she's doing too much. And it's just like, no, I've been here for 5 years building this brand, right? And all I know is what I know when it comes to Que Mami, right? So what I'm giving you is kind of like 5 years worth of building that confidence and the courage to even say like, what I do is dope and you should know about it. Here we are. Like you should be following me. Not wait till I'm on a billboard, not wait till I'm on this major article, not wait till I'm interviewing J-Lo or Adrienne Bailon. Like, nah, like get with it now. So I've kind of mustered that courage the last, especially 2-3 years when I wanted to pivot with certain things. And I see the pushback from people and I see how people may feel and getting a little bit uncomfortable, but that's obviously not my people. And two, like I cannot stop that machine or that inner feeling of me of like, just keep going. Like they don't, if whoever doesn't get it before, I'd be dwelling on it. Like, am I doing too much? But now it's just like, nah, just keep going. Cause you're here where you are right now doing the amazing things because of that. And the ones who get it. Right. And so with the inner child stuff that Sola was talking about, for me, it's a little bit more personal because I had dealt with trauma as a little girl. So my defense mechanism has always been fight or flight and just get out of my way. I'm a steamroll through. You can't tell me shit.
Yeah.
Because once I'm on that path, a mí nadie me puede decir nada. And so in between, when you have kids and you have a partner, you have to kind of shift that, right? You have to learn how to maneuver, bring it out when it's time and bring it out. So I think also becoming a mother has helped me kind of have that kind of balance. All right, Lisbeth, like you can both be full-fledged with this, but then when it comes to operating a business, you have to operate a different way. And so because also being a mother has its disadvantages when it comes to imposter syndrome, because you're just like, damn, should I be, I'm thinking about going to Cali and finally meeting Sol in person. But like, I'm like, damn, like I want to bring my whole family. Like I can't just leave them, even though it's work and they understand, right? I'm still operating like I can't be doing too much because I'm a mom. Like that's also yes, that comes first 100%, but I also have dreams and visions and goals that if I don't do certain things, and not all at once, because that takes time, that it won't happen because I'm a mom. So there's so many different ways, but the most important thing, the way I've combated is kind of like, honestly, grounding myself every day. I do a lot of journeying and just getting closer to God and asking, like, just keep me this way, no matter how great steps I make or how many setbacks I have, just keep me grounded, 100% keep me grounded so that I don't lose sight of who I am, no matter how big Que Mami gets or no matter what I'm doing or how much money I have, keep me grounded. So that's kind of my guiding force to kind of like navigate through those things every single day.
And sharing what you're going through today with the event that you have next, it's why, again, it's such an inspiration to follow you because it brings you back to you're not perfect. You still have those doubts, even working with Solimar, even working with high-end clients, even doing everything that you've accomplished. It's not like, okay, I made it or I feel good, I have stability. Like I don't go through that anymore. You still do, right? But you still show up. And it's not like you're going to have moments that you're not going to feel like showing up, but you're still going to push through because you're still going to attend it and you're going to be the badass women that you are. You're going to show up, right? But it's those styles that keep us from like, I don't know, should I? Oh, I shouldn't. It's Sunday. Like what? What did I do, right? Overbooking myself. But it's the long term. Touching on motherhood, because we're both moms too, it hits home because it also reminds you that you can thrive in a business. you can be a mom, if you're a wife, if, you know, whatever life you have, you can have it, but you're still going to have those doubts. Because same thing happens to me all the time. And it feels good to know that we're not alone, you know, and that we are not being selfish, but we need to keep showing up for ourselves. Because how are we going to show our kids, you can do whatever you want, when I keep doubting, like stopping myself from pursuing? Like, what example are we giving them? So thank you for sharing that, because that hit home to me. It touched me. And I know it's going to impact many too that are watching, that are moms and are trying to juggle life with all those self-doubts that hunt us every single day.
To that a little bit. Last night, I was crying with my daughter. Last night on the couch, I was crying with my daughter, and she's just turned 14. And I've, you know, the little human I raised in her is just, every day I'm like, she's so fucking great. Not because you're like, how did I create something so dope? And it's just, I'm breaking things down, but it's the dynamic with her and my dad, and how he navigates what I'm doing and vice versa, and support, and the way I run my household. And I'm just like, sometimes it just feels like it's damn if you, damn if you don't. And you're always thinking about, am I doing enough for my child? Am I doing enough for me? But I also have to be okay. So I was literally telling her, I'm like, you know, I doing the things that I do, I still make time for my children. She's going through the high school process, and it was very diligent and very hard and very, you know, it took me ways where like certain Que Mami stuff have to be put aside. Dad was doing his thing and my son is doing his thing. And it's just like a constant, like, should I just take a break for 2 weeks? Should I just stop for a month? And I'm just like, wait, no, like, then I'm going to feel unfulfilled. So reminding her, like, this is hard. Every day waking up to put a smile on my face and make sure she doesn't, like, is held back from the things that she needs. And my son and my partner feeling fulfilled as well. It is a job every single day, right? But it's one of those things where I tell myself, like, it wasn't meant to be easy. I know that, but I'm in this seat for a reason, and there's a purpose. And again, going back to God and just staying grounded and asking, like, tomorrow's another day. I'm gonna be all right, as long as she understands that your mom is trying. She's doing her best. But motherhood is just, it's a whole, it's a roller coaster for sure.
And it's seasons too that we have to go through. And like you said, maybe stopping for a week. It's not that you're giving up. You recharge, but you're not putting anything on hold. But it's recognizing that you can't just stop and fully like not do anything and give in, because you're better than that. You're showing that you can and you will get through this. But you have to embrace those seasons. That you have to cry. You have to get closer to God. You need to know where you're heading to. And I think that's important, like that your vision is clear, because if you didn't have your vision clear, you would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to see that, right? So thank you for sharing that, because it hit home.
Yeah, no, it sure did. And I know we touched a little bit about this, like the self-doubt and social pressure. This often comes with these two things, self-doubt and social pressure. So how do you shift those thoughts and celebrate your wins? How do you ignore that social pressure that I'm sure we often, you know, presents us with all these social pressure and self-doubt? So how do we push those thoughts to the side and celebrate our wins?
I think for me in particular, I think everybody deals with it a little bit different. I have put timers on my socials. I have an hour a day for all of them all together. And interestingly enough, I started scrolling through Pinterest to give me inspiration.
Love it.
To see, right? And so like, I'll look at something and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to buy that if I do this, right? So like, we got the article published in Me Too, and I was like, I'm going out to a nice dinner. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, you know, like, you start to, I always say things, I'm like, if I accomplish this goal, I'm going to buy myself this. You're already preemptively celebrating yourself, right? You're already saying you're going to accomplish it because you want X. And so I make that a priority, because it can feel like you're just going through the motions, right? Like you could just say, this is another podcast. That's another article. You know, somebody has been published in Vogue. What does that matter? But no, it matters. Every single thing matters. And to me, I'm so appreciative of every opportunity, right? And these early mornings, like we're all, it's early for all of us, right? We're all here. We're all showing up. And so like, that's something to be celebrated. That's beautiful. And so I always try to pick something, you know, and even if it's something little, like right now I'm thinking, I'm gonna go for a nice walk and I'm gonna get me a bagel. And that's my way to celebrate that we did this, that we showed up, it was nice, the energy's good, and I want to carry that through my day, right? So I think just prioritizing that, because sometimes we're so like bullseye, or like we put our heads down and we just work, that you miss those milestones and you're like, oh wait, I didn't wait, when did that happen? How did I get here? Right? Like you get to where you were going and you're like, wait, what did I miss? And you miss so many milestones and so many things that you could have celebrated in big ways or in small ways. Maybe your celebration is pouring yourself a glass of wine. Like, you know, so I think taking a step back and maybe setting it as a treat, right? Like, not to bring diet into anything, but like when you're on a diet, right? And you're like, on my cheat day, I'm going to eat this. You look forward to that, right?
Absolutely.
Why not do that on your everyday life with your accomplishments, whether it's for a business, maybe you're going to school, maybe your children, like you were working on something big with your children and it finally happened and you're like, that's off my plate. We did it. It was great. And celebrate it, you know, and say, okay, if we do this, we're going to go here. And I don't know if it's because how I grew up, because in Dominican Republic, if I had straight A's when I was little, my grandma would always take me to Burger King, which was my favorite, like, fast food spot. And I love getting, like, the little toys and playing in the ball pit.
Yeah, that's
So
like, yeah.
I don't know if that's why I function that way. It's like I've always known, like, there's a trade-off if I do good.
Yeah,
So
that's a
I continue that through my adult life.
And that's the way I see the key to happiness and success. It's the little things, right? Because we can always celebrate the big things, the big contracts, you know, all the big celebrations, but the little things is what we lack. And you're right. Like we feel that, like, especially in business, you can't celebrate until you hit, I'm not even making money. What are we celebrating? You know,
Yeah.
no, what do you mean? Like the subscribers, the followers, the community, the conversations we're having, you know, all those are the things you need to celebrate. And that is a perspective that we need to change. Because we always wait until we get like the big deal or the big following to say, oh, we finally hit it to 1 million. What about when you hit the first 20, the first 500, the first 1,000? We don't celebrate that because we think, well, others are going to probably laugh at us. I mean, they're probably like at 1 million. Don't think about others. Think about yourself. And celebrating those little wins and big wins are going to take you farther. So that was such a good idea. I love
Yeah, that was good. And not forgetting, like you said, not celebrating those small wins when you kind of make it. You're like, wait, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Like you said, versus when you're celebrating these small wins, you're in the moment, right? You're in the moment and you're enjoying. So when you get to that big win, you can look back and you can say, like, I know how I got here because I celebrated all those small steps to get to this big moment.
I love that.
So yeah, I love that. Take notes.
I think it's hilarious because I was so that girl in the beginning. I'm just like work. I looking back, I can see all the little small things that mattered. But then when I look back, I'm like, wow, the girls that I had around me building the Que Mami team, like they would tell me, and they're all like close friends, and especially the accountant, and they were just like, yeah, and they were in the midst of, like, mind you, they haven't been a part of the founder, the beginning, right? It's the first time really being the nitty gritty of a business starting out, and they're like, wow, and you did this, and how did you meet that, and how did you make connections? I'm seeing it as normal that I was able to do this and fill this out and figure that out and buy this and get that little by little. I'm like, oh yeah, because yeah. And they're like, no, like, wow, like, you know, and me, I'm just like, it's so normal, but not stopping and thinking like, wow, like, no, that is a big deal. That is huge. You know, making this connection or finding this person or being able to do this or getting the logo or whatever it was. I was just like full speed ahead. Like Solimar said, like, you just get so into the grind. But then now, like, when Que Mami got a little slow and I was in a drought and I didn't have clients, I remember, of course, another humbling experience. I'm just like, all right, this is a season that I have to get through. What am I going to do to keep myself, you know, pumped up to keep going? And how am I going to make Que Mami still, you know, push it out there? And for me, it was connecting with people, connecting with women, hearing the stories, doing IG lives. So when I didn't have clients, I was doing IG lives just to kind of like
that.
ask really dope questions and connect with women that were in different industries. And that really allowed me to kind of like get out of myself and get out of my head so that I can really hear, like you said, Cynthia, you're not alone. You're not alone. And it takes time to really sit back and reflect. And again, my partner constantly reminds me, he's like, that's a big deal from doing that. So why are you not sitting in it and marinating that and enjoying that moment? So lately, I want to say the last 2 years, whether it's personally or professionally, I've been sitting back and be like, wow, like you did that. Or wow, like you sat down with no distractions for 2 hours and sent those emails that you were like stressing about. That's enough in the days that I have. And literally like last night after sending the emails, I cried. And you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I did 2 hours of work and I organized myself. That is a big deal for me because I don't get that during the week with the hustle and bustle. So I'm freaking happy because I know in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, if I get a reply, if I get this, I'm going to be happy because I'm like, that one day that I took to do that got me that. It got sold that one article, or it got sold that one podcast, or it got sold this because of 2 hours of that one little milestone for me. So I started to see it like that. So when that big win comes, I'm like, yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, we did that. So it's being grateful for the little. And when the big comes, you can really appreciate it. And I had to learn that late because Sol was, por ejemplo, she got that, that Burger King from her grandma. For me, because I'm overly ambitious, that really didn't happen. It was just like, what else can you do? Do it better, do it better, do it better. Yeah. So my stuff was the opposite. It wasn't that they didn't want to give me the love in the moment. It was like, all right, that's cool. What's next? So my mind has always been on, okay, let's say if I meet with J-Lo tomorrow, I'm like, all right, that's J-Lo. So I got to meet Beyonce. That's how my mind is. But in the moment, like I had to learn, like these moments with you two is still very much a big deal to me. And I'm very grateful for that. So then when I'm ready to get a big dog, and the same way I see Sol is the same way I'm going to see a Beyonce. You feel me? Like it's going to be the same because it's just like, I'm grateful. I'm in the moment and I pay attention and I care. It's the intention behind it,
Which that's what makes you, again, stand out and unique because you give the same support, the same love, the same affection to anyone, whether it's Solimar, us, Beyonce, J-Lo, right? Because, of course, it would hit different because you're like, wow, because of different stages that we are right now, different seasons of lives, but you're still the same person. And I love how you share personal and business. Because as entrepreneurship, we all have that mindset, business, 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 business. But that's when, how do you separate that? And of course, the wins, that is so important. Like we don't even recognize or celebrate our own wins of like, hey, I at least was able to go do my nails last week, right? And those little things of like, I did this because I deserve it. I deserve to have 1 hour for myself to pour into myself so I can continue to pour into others, or have, like you said, a glass of wine or a cup of coffee. Celebrating those little wins in your personal life too, because how are you going to fulfill other people's cup if you're not fulfilling your own? And touching back, Lisbeth, on what you said about community. And I think that's the most important thing that we need right now is building community. All of us, I think, are doing an amazing job doing that in our own way for our business, our branding. But the power of building community, it's powerful. Absolutely. Like look at us now, thanks to, of course, social media, networking, and the communities you ladies have built, we're able to continue to speak about it and provide a platform for other women to come to support you, but also to be that little beam of inspiration for someone else that might be going through everything we're going through, one of us right now. So what do you ladies feel about the community you're currently building? Because I think it's powerful.
I feel good. Honestly, when I talk about it, I get a little goosebump. It's just amazing. Like, it makes you feel like you're making a difference, right? And I don't have children myself, but when I look at my nieces and nephews or my future children, if I end up having them, I can look at them in the eye and say, I tried, right? And I think thinking about the newer generation, thinking about what I wouldn't want them to experience that we experienced perhaps, right? And even if I narrow it down to the world of fashion, the early 2000s were a mess. Like the diets, the skinny minis, the whatever. Like I always had big thighs and a butt. Like that was never going to be me ever in life, unless I got like plastic surgery, maybe, I don't know. But so like making a space in fashion where people can dress the way they want to dress. My niece, she loves color. She loves color. She loves dressing up in color, you know, and like, I'm inspired by her. And I'm like, yes, I want to make a world where you can wear color and wear the color that you want to wear. And yeah, my brand is all muted, but it's about the message of like, dress however makes you feel good. Dress however makes you feel happy, you know? And like, I'll tell people, even when I meet them in person, I'm like, it doesn't have to be with my brand. Like, I'm just trying to put the message out there that it's just clothes. Like, if they make you happy, wear them, you know? If you want to cut your hair, cut it. Like, just do what makes you feel good. So I guess putting that little bit, making that community in the world of fashion, putting that seed out there in the world has been very important. And I only want to grow it and make it bigger. But I think it's important for me to be able to look at the younger generation, the little generation, and be like, I'm trying to make this a better place for you. You know, I'm trying to make this an easier going place for you, essentially.
That's beautiful. And I think you're doing an amazing job, and you're going to continue to do so because of who you are. That's the message that you're transmitting that we all need right now in this world, you know, especially now, and educating us and showing that you come from that space of love and, vulnerability that it's hard to find nowadays. So no, you're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, thank you.
To go off of Sol again, I feel like every time we have calls like this or meetings or connect with women from anywhere in the US, it just makes us so happy. We get giddy and we're just like, she's just like me. And it feels so good. And I get emotional. I'm such a sap. Like I get so emotional. And because you know, it's like Cynthia, like, who are these people? I want to give them a hug. I want to talk to them. I want to know who they are, what they do and everything. Sol got the article for me too, and all these beautiful, talented Latinas that were just like, seem like us, seeking connection, seeking validation, seeking love, seeking support, wanting to be seen. And we're just like, wow, every woman who looks like us is going through it in different ways, whether it's a high or a low, right? And they're feeling the craziness of the world. And when I say the word, I say the government, okay? I'm going to be very, it's the government and how they're just trying to be like, all right, y'all cool and all, but like, fuck y'all. Continuously reminded me, especially after the election and during, like, all right, that just means I got to keep doing what I'm doing. Keep making sure this platform is above water every day and reminding women like, nah, do that, buy that, wear it, speak on that panel, you know, go fly to that country, make a connection, get the new job, ruffle feathers over here, knock on doors, or, you know, just be disruptive, right? And that fighting spirit comes from my mom because she had no choice but to stay home with 5 kids and be at home when she left the whole career in DR, right? A whole career where she had the nannies and the cleaner and this to then be like, all right, we're on welfare and food stamps now. And so doing lock in. I'm like, okay, you know, so those are the words. If I can give that to 5 million women just on a little short story that I do, because some content, everything is content, right? So even when I'm like slow on my feeds, I'm just like, I feel inspired today. I'm gonna say some shit on my IG story today. Even with those little words, and I get a message of like, damn, thank you for sharing that. I'm happy. I did my job. I'm happy. There's nothing else that's gonna make my day better than just getting that day. I'm like, damn, thank you for sharing that. You know, so that is one way that I kind of allow myself to just be appreciative of the community that I have. That you can, whether you know me from a whole while, ever met me, you could just DM me and be like, thank you. That's what I love about the community I've built. Besides booking the consultation, besides reposting my brand, besides congratulating what I did with a client, I love the thank you for doing what you do. That's what makes it worthwhile. That's why the community is just so valid and important to me.
And that is beautiful. And that's why you guys have two beautiful communities that you're building, you'll continue to build because of who you are. And again, going back to just showcasing your strength, but also your weakness. And not everybody, I can say, or no one right now does that. They always post their best highlights, their best makeup days, their best hair days. And then you're like, wait, but who are you, right? Like, I need to connect. And that's why you're either not attracting or you feel like you don't have a community built because you're not being authentically yourself. So thank you, ladies, for doing that. I know that
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think about.
I have that chismosa.
We all did. Mine is for most of my family. Chismosa. But I think for me, it's come up a lot is a children conversation, right? It's like, when are you gonna when are you gonna do the, like, yeah, what you're doing is great, but like, when are you gonna become a mother? Yeah, and it's like, well, why is that the ultimate goal, right? Yeah, that's an ultimate goal for a lot of people. Maybe some people, it's beautiful, but like, that's not the ultimate goal for me personally, right? So why is that being pushed onto me? But I think it comes with the expectations of being Latina. You get married, you have your kids, maybe you have your 9 to 5, right? And that's all you amount to be, right? And so I feel like even what you guys are doing, like you guys having your podcast and Lisbeth having her own business, is defiant to that mindset. Because why are you wasting your time, right? That's what they're telling. Why aren't you spending time with your kids, right? Why aren't you being a mother? Meanwhile, you're doing this for your kids, right? So I think that's what's come up for me a lot. And it's like an annoying topic. I'm not going to say it's a difficult topic. I'm pretty rooted in what I want. But it's just like, dude, I'm more than just a body with 2 ovaries. Like, I can do other things,
No, y cuando tengas a tus niños, they're going to be like, ¿y el próximo para cuándo?
Yeah.
Like, can I finish?
It's never
Like, with
enough
me, I
for
have 2
them.
boys, and every question, which we already said multiple times, we're not having any more unless that's God's plan. Y la niña, I'm like, but we have 2 boys. Sí, pero you need una niña. And I'm like, but, like, when is it enough, right? Like,
I'm like, please. And this economy.
Exactly.
niña y la hermana, right?
Yeah.
It's never ends. And they're the ones that don't even like come over or don't even help. So it's like, so yes, I think that's in Hispanics, especially con nosotras. Like it's a question, a very popular one.
Oh my goodness. I remember, well, it's one of the aunts was, it was just recently too. We had like we were sitting down in a circle, and then I was mingling with us, and then I came to sit next to my man, and he was next to the aunt, and she's like, "Oh, suéltalo. Why are you always next to him? Why are you always around him and on top of him? Es un hombre." Basically, like you don't always have to be all up on him. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, he wants me here, girl. He wants me right here. He wants me right here. He can't get enough of me. 1 and 2, we are not. You know how there's this couple, like, and no shade to anyone, like there's just couples that are like just enjoy just being just like that attached to them, and then they'll go mingle, do their thing, but like, all right, I need some normalcy. I want to be next to my person that gets, you know what I mean? Like if we're making the eye contact. So in my head, I'm just like, I literally told him, es que él quiere que yo estoy aquí. Tú no ves como yo me veo. Mírame. I'm like, mírame. You know, so it's just like, it took me a while to get there, but it's just like, no, like this is not the type of relationship where like my partner is this man and he can go off and do what he wants, and I'm just sitting at home and I'm okay with the bullshit. No, like this is an actual healthy relationship. We enjoy being stuck at the hip if he wants to one day, and if he wants to be playing basketball and I'm doing this podcast today, we're cool with that too. So it's just those little things that I'm just like, no, babe, this is not 1970s, 1960s. Like there's men that want to be home and be a dad and be committed and enjoy being right here. It's not like that taboo of like mom is at home and dad is like hitting the streets. We're not doing that here. So yeah. Exacto.
It feels like we always have to give
An
the explanation of
Yeah.
like, oh, because of this, no, we're not ready, or you, because el lauder. It's like, okay, why? Like, why even is it even put on us? And it's because of, nuestra cultura. And it's crazy that we all had that, most of that family member, and it happens everywhere. And I heard this funny thing, which is not funny, but, it's a joke. And el funeral, it's like, now I'm going to start going to mi tías y decirle, you're next. When are you next? And it's not. But it's like the thing of that they were saying, sí, porque they always come to us, y cuándo te vas a casar, y cuándo vas a tener hijos, but we don't go to funerals y le decimos, ¿y tú cuándo te toca?
Oh my God, can you imagine?
That's so funny.
I went around for some time and I remember coming across and I'm like, that is hilarious because we don't do that, right? Like we don't go but they do it to us. Like they want to know, hey, I have red hair. And like you said, Lisbeth, mañana me levanto and I go back to black. And they're like, ay, pero el rojo te queda más guapo, que te lo pintaste negro. So I want to.
Because I wanted to.
And so it's definitely in our roots, but we have to laugh about it because I feel we all go through it. It's just the perspective on how we handle it. And don't let it affect you,
Yeah, these tía chismosas. Like, oh my
God
God,
bless
this has
them.
been such an amazing conversation. I'm sure we can go on and talk about so many different topics. Yes, but we would love to know any new projects that you guys ladies have coming up. If you can shout out all your social media platforms and where our listeners can find you, ladies.
Yeah, so with Unbothered, we're working on many behind the scene things with Que Mami and Lizbeth. So we're excited to what 2025 has to bring. And hopefully you guys get to see that soon come to life. But you guys can find us at Unbothered Fashion on Instagram, and that's UNBTHRD Fashion. And we have our website, which is unbotheredfashion.com as well. So you can shop online, and we ship all over the U.S.
Definitely invest in her. Her stuff is dope. Don't sleep on her brands.
Yes.
Que Mami is on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads. We're switching it up with our website very soon, so it's under construction. It's super outdated from like 6 years ago. So I'm like, nah, ya está bueno. So that's a fun project that I'm doing to be creative again and tapping into that. And then planning an event to kind of reintroduce Que Mami, because since COVID, that's my son back there. Sorry. It's kicking the sign.
Motherhood.
That's my alarm. No, so trying to host an event to reintroduce Que Mami because of COVID, it hasn't been able to happen, to have something in person and really kind of like connect with my community. So it's going to be short and sweet and small, but it's going to be big for me because I haven't done it yet. So putting that together, and I have so much anxiety about it and I'm freaking out, but I'm looking forward to that. And then honestly, just like Sol said, like the challenge of just keeping opening doors for us, knocking on the doors, no matter how big they are, and be like, hey, you need to meet us. We're here.
Yeah.
And then open that floodgate for other women that look just like us. That is the goal this year.
That is beautiful, ladies. So inspiring. Like Cynthia said, we're going to have everything on the show notes. They can go ahead and support you. Any events you have, anything you need to tag us on, feel free. We'll repost you. It's been a pleasure to have you ladies here, share your stories. Una voz de inspiración for so many of us. Y antes de irnos, queremos invitarlas a nuestro Jarrito Taboo Live una vez al mes en Instagram, donde preguntas rápidas y divertidas. Solimar was actually our first guest on the launch of our very first Jarrito Taboo Live. So it was such an inspiration.
So much fun.
Thank you. Thank you for being part of that as we continue to showcase once a month. And Lisbeth, we'll send you information so you can join us for the next one.
Absolutely.
No se lo pueden perder y acompáñanos en todas las redes sociales.
Yes, and to our listeners, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Ladies, thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you. See you next time on the next episode for conversation like these.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.